Part C. Final part of the basic tutorials. Please understand this was not my intended lesson for Part C. I originally was going to show how to do day and night transition systems, but that didn't pan out properly for me. There are a few unwanted features or bugs in the original module. I will show the fixes I will be using in the module being created. AI Move Towards Player Fix by Bucket Mouse. Please understand that before watching these links and scripts that I already put them in my game just recently today to test them out. So here we go. There exists in the adventure module Move Towards Player AI that causes the monster sprites to move towards your own sprite when you enter a room or when it switches to that AI. However, this script contains no information that the monster to change its facing direction, so unless you designed your monster to make sense from all angles, it should not be following you properly, but it should, but it won't be scripted that way, so this makes it scripted that way. It wasn't scripted properly to face you when it moves towards you, and now it respects that in the script. So all you have to do is replace the script with this script, and it works. I made a video for this when I was doing the Nightmare Castle tutorials just recently, about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Right now I'm going to show how that works. I'm going to make the drops move towards the player. Unfortunately, it's not going to update. It's just going to make the drops move towards the player, so there's only one step in the actions. So it's not going to stop, it's not going to change its direction, it's just going to move towards the player. There we are. Keep looping it over and over again. It might actually change it because it should be updating the loop of this action on timer 2. But I don't know if that even does anything right now at this point, so we're going to find out if it's going to check that too. So somebody actually earlier was asking me about making a Kirby effect when you want to put that in a video game. So that would be kind of like a Kirby effect. Kill the monster and suck up the thing, but I mean it's more like sucking up the monster, so you'd be pushing a button with an input or something and then it would pull the monster towards you. But ooh, look at that. See, it doesn't update it. Yeah. Just keep going in that direction that it was set when it spawned. But if you put in change after a certain point, it eventually would update. Anyway, that would be something like advance, move towards player, go to first. Just having that right there. Something like that. That's all you would need. That would fix it. And then it would start following the player constantly. So right now I'm just defaulting this back. As you see, the heart drops don't move towards you because I defaulted it back. After, testing and making sure script move towards work still. Stop Moving While Attacking by Dale Coop. So when you go to this post, somebody made in the forum, they made a topic about essentially like the ghost weapon effect thing. So I made the timing on my weapon a little slow, but my action a little faster. So the ghost weapon thing will still happen, but I won't be able to move while I'm in that um action if I do this. So I can't be running around super fast making ghost weapons while still pushing the button, if that makes any sense. So anyway, you have to put this in the beginning of it to make it so your player can't move while you're attacking. Now, if you're going to do that, you have to put that in every move script. So you do move left, move right, move up, move down, even the change action to move. So in his code, I put it in those scripts. Here's the check in the beginning, all the way for 7. Make sure you're not in your hurt step, because action step 7 for player is hurt, stun, stop. So you want that check to be there. Then after this check, it goes to this script that Dale wrote. This does a check similar to this check. If you look at it, it's very similar. And then you got not attacking, and that's the actual script that you want to do to move. So I did that essentially for all of these. And the change action to moving. That was already incorporated in the game and in the inputs. Which with this module, I'm going to also probably need to export the inputs and then give you guys inputs to import. So you'll have these inputs set up and then you can just mess around with them or whatever. But um, it's important to have these scripts in the game. Change action to moving. Down, left, right, up. So there we go. Thank you, Dale. Dale is a treasure to the community. He does great work on these scripts. Kanbei does mention, though, that if you get hit while your weapon is on the screen, it'll still be in place, like kind of like if the timing is kind of like how mine is. I'll show you really quick. Alright, so if the timing is, the weapon might still be, see how it's got like the ghost type effect? It's not, it's because it's my weapon stays on the screen longer than my animation anyway for it. I can still move. Anyway, the ghost effect, he says like, so if I get hit, there you go. You see how the weapon was still there? So you'd have to write like something to fix that. My suggestions would either be to remove all the recoil. So when you get hit, you just don't have recoil, but yeah, then you go into like a infinite hit thing, but whatever. If you get hit, then you could just put in that the next thing we're going to do, which is a no object action collision step thing. Technically, that could work. If you get hit, you go into that step, and then in that step, no object action step collision. So when you're in that step, you wouldn't be colliding, but you'd still be in that spot. So if they ran into you and they didn't move from colliding with you, then from a recoil or something, then they'd still be in that spot when you basically invincibility. So you'd be taking that damage again. And since there's no recoil, when you came back from that again, you'd again it would basically be almost infinite damage you take because you wouldn't move while you were in the invincible state unless you programmed another thing in there. It's a lot of stuff. So that's not necessarily what you want to do, but this is something else that's similar to what you could do to find a solution, but we'll talk about that in a moment. In your player hurt recoil, you'd have to mess around with your player hurt recoil basically. Yeah, check if the melee weapon destroy object. So if you get hit and the player hurt and there's a recoil right before the player recoil, check if that weapon is on the screen. If that weapon's on the screen, destroy it. Right? I mean, that could work too. You wouldn't have to mess around with this stuff or and that, but this thing is the next thing. Alright, so moving along, we're gonna go to this. No object collision action step flag. Another script brought to you by Dale Coop. No object collision action step flag. It's a mouthful. Um, so basically, what you want to do is if you want to have a certain action step where the object and the player, which is another object, basically any object collisions, be player, player weapon, monster, monster weapon, um, target type, persistent, which is basically the player usually in anything. It just has no collisions. So it literally goes through the well actually for this one, it's for monster hurt and player hurt. So if you wanted to do no collisions or check out that part that's here in this video that I made on the invulnerability bit, it shows how like you can skip collisions with literally anything um in your scripts. This one we're going to do is skips the handle monster hurt and handles player hurt basically. It's a lot easier and it takes up a lot less space and stuff. It's just a few lines of code. So we're going to start here. All right. We're just going to rename the flag 01. No object collision right here. So 01. No object collision. Then under handle monster hurt, just after this line, which is right near the top, you put that. I'll even do this. Something like that you might want to have in like the script. I don't need to include this line in here for you because it's not really important. It's just a reference. You have this text file, it'll have this location, it'll have my YouTube video on there. It might actually be including this in the module though. So this file will be in the module with this. But when you write your script out, if you're watching this video and you're following along, you don't need to write this line. This is just reference. Anyway, and then I like to do something like this. Now when the player hurt, you're going to do the same thing, essentially. It'll be after the can hurt player. You add this in there. So here's the player hurt. Can hurt player. Oh. This can hurt player. Like I said, that line is unnecessary. This is what's needed. Make sure to save the file. With both files saved, and make sure that those files are the ones associated with the project. They will be, though. We associated them previously or used references to the associations of them previously. They're located right here. Common. Handle player hurt. Handle monster hurt. It's files right there edited. There we are. Make sure that your monster uses that action step flag and it works. So we're going to make it so when the monster is moving, they're invulnerable. So you can only hurt the monster when they're standing still. He stopped moving. See how he passed right through it? That's the script working. It's passing right through it. And you see that blinking? That's the next thing we're going to do. Okay, that's the thing after the next we're going to do. So seeing that work, no, we know that that's making the no object collision while in that action. And we'll just remove that right there. As as you see in the video or in the picture Dale Coop provided, he highlighted in red the no object collision right there flag. There we are. Brings us to the next part. Oh wait, I was completely unaware of this bug before doing a fix. To confirm it exists, I tested it, and earlier today I did test it, and that bug definitely exists. So there was no monster moving on game states other than the main game state. That's not a bug. That actually was written into the file. It's a feature more than a bug. So you have to go to the physics script, the do handle physics script. Dale Coop to the rescue again. 5 kids defeated a problem. Dale Coop helped out. Thank you, Dale Coop. He's, as I said, a treasure to this community. Does great work on the scripts and everything. So here we go. Customization. Ignore physics if not on the main game mode. Says it right there in here. So this is for people that want to ignore the physics, but most games that I know of, if you're not in the main game mode, you might want to ignore physics because if you make an object, and it's got some sort of gravity or something, you don't want it to fall necessarily or something like that, or some sort of physics collisions, etc. So we're going to just comment this out, and then it'll bring it back. So now when you're on, say, start, or game over screen, continue, bonus levels that I've made before, stuff like that, it still does it. It'll still have collisions. I mean, not collisions. It'll still have the physics enabled, so it'll move. Which I guess collisions would happen when it runs into a tile or something, but it already has collisions. This has nothing to do with disabling collisions or anything like that. This is just the physics of moving up, down, left, right, etc. So I wrote, these aren't fixes, they're more quality of life improvements. That was kind of more, changing a feature that would have been considered by most a bug into just, removing it. So in this, we're going to add a sprite flickering routine. That way, if you have too many of the same object in the same spot, it blinks. If you notice, when I was testing out the game, there was a little sprite flickering, so that was good. The weapon that it was making was with the player and the monsters in the same horizontal or vertical axis. Too many objects makes it flicker. By default, there is no flicker, but this is a feature like almost every NES game has. So we're going to enable this. Great code by All Darn Davy. Thank you, All Darn Davy. Alright, so if you've seen the advanced brawler tutorial, this kind of follows the concepts in the brawler tutorial. You add these 2 variables in your 0-page RAM, draw order and draw order temp. Draw order, you want the max objects you have set in your object variables. And then draw order temp should just equal 1. So draw order, in this instance, it's the same number as the max objects in your object variables. So you go project settings, Object variables right here. Total object count. 0 page RAM. Push add. Push it twice. Make sure it's in there 2 times. So you got draw order temp. You're going to make draw order 13. It's equal to the total object count in object variables. Draw order temp is 1. So just like in the advanced brawler tutorial, you'll need to add some lines into your initialization script. That's for your project. So what you need to do is go to your script settings, in your project settings, find your initialization. It's coming up. Oops, when I said it was coming up, I literally just passed it when I said that. There it is, game. So you notice in Adventure, it's in the Adventure game folder. I made a copy of it, Adventure EX, game folder. Initialization Adventure EX was the name of the file I made. Well, I made the base and then I renamed it with this because I made these changes. I added this to it. I'm going to show you right now. Go to edit. In my edited file, down here, I put it under triggers. I put screen flicker subroutine. Just add it to the bottom. And then it's above this like delete me and all this other stuff. So that's the associated file. For you, I would recommend if you're following along and you're not using this module, just following along and copying as you go, then I would just suggest making a copy of the initialization file. It would be initialization adventure base, and then you could either rename it and then and link it to this file like just through here like you normally do with anything else, or make a backup and then just edit the original and then use the backup as a backup in case something happens. So with that working, I did test that out earlier. Oh, yeah, oops. Then you got to make a new file. Make sure you name it this. Do handle objects cycle. Honestly, the name does not matter. But what matters is you're going to go into your, again, script settings, handle objects. So that is down here. That's why I was looking the wrong spot a little while ago. Go into your handle objects. And then you replace that file with ta-da, do handle objects cycle, which is this file. All darn Davy provides. It's a long file because he added some stuff in the beginning. If you compare it to your original do handle object cycle, you'll notice a few changes. But essentially, you just added a few extra lines in here, there. Few is an understatement. Because if you look near the bottom of the code, which I'm going to do right now, again, edit, go all the way to the bottom, you'll notice this. You can do it like in the brawler module and order the objects based on Y value. You can do it where the player flickers just like the monsters, so there does like a flickering effect with the player, just like the monsters. Some games have that where if they're all in a line, the player will flicker too. That's good for games where you have a larger player. Um, I would say like a bigger than 3 or something like that, 3x3 or something. Anything bigger than 3x3, you might want to do some kind of thing with this instead of this one. By default, this is the one that's enabled, so it does objects flicker, but it doesn't flicker the player. So the player won't flicker, but any other objects, pickups, monsters, etc., those will flicker. So here we go. That's what the script does. You would save it. Or I'm sorry, you just test your game and it should run. By default, this is the one that's going. And it works. I mean, you've seen it working while we were recording this earlier. Alright, and bonus time. Going to include a restore health tile. This really basic script will restore your health to full. What it does is checks if it's the player. It's not the player, it skips the script. If it is the player, loads the max health number, it stores that max health number into my health, updates the HUD element number 2. That's the default HUD element for my health if you're using the adventure module. So, checking that out, we're going to currently just, because this is the way it's going to be in the module, if you look in your script settings, it's going to be tile 13 because that's like the last tile before 14 and 15, which we enabled earlier. And if anyone needs, I'm going to make a video specifically for adventure with a bunch of cool scripts and stuff, like maybe even this in there that resets when you go on the tile or something. So I put it under my tiles in here. Restore health tile. I'm gonna rename that in the project labels. Tile types. Tile 13. Restore health. Tile. Now this tile does not reset. It doesn't reset. You could put a line in there for resetting. Maybe like I'll do something like right above here. You would want to I cover it in this text over here. I paused it so it sounded like I just probably stuttered there. I covered it. And change tile of collision right there, and it says put it against above the max health. So you would right here do a change tile collision. But as you see, I commented out, so that's for you later if you want to make it reset. If you want to make, say, like a version of this that does change the tile collision, all you gotta do is copy this, uncomment this, and then bam, it'll do that. Anyway, so here's the script in action. Going to replace this one specifically, this hurt one right here, the top left hand corner, restore health. Gonna make it this, weird color block. Get hurt? Whoa. Get hurt. Alright. Okay. Hurt. Get away from me. There we go. Good. Ha! You can't hurt me when I'm in my home. I'm invincible in my home. Yeah. Yeah. The odds are in my favor. There you go. I have the high ground. Anyway, so that was an example of the restore health tile. And it doesn't reset. Now here, let's make it reset. Just uncomment that. Save it. Test it out. It resets. It only happens once. Ooh, branch out of range. Hold on. My bad. I don't want to anger the branch out of range gods. You know what? I might as well just write it better to begin with. So it's equal. You're gonna do all that. Not equal. We're gonna jump to, just because this is like something I can show people too. I mean, I'm sure if you'd have been following my videos, you definitely know this by now. But if you haven't, there you go. Switch that to from BNE to BEQ, which is the opposite. If it's equal to the player, which is the player. Oh, yeah. Duh. Is the player. Is the player. It's not the player. It's not the player. Not the mama. There you go. No more angering those branches, not equal branch gods. Ah, that bridge was too far. That was that bridge too far. There you go. So it doesn't check if you have full health. It just, resets if you run on it and you're the player. If you're the monster, it wouldn't reset. So check this out. I should have just reset the game to do this, but here we go. Get hurt. There we go. There you go, full life. And look, get hurt again. Obviously, you don't get healed again. There you go. So there that is. I'm gonna put that back in so it doesn't change. So it's like an infinite heal tile. I prefer that. I think a lot of people want to put something like that in their game, maybe. Before you go into the boss room, you go on that tile, you know, and maybe you just don't want it to change. You want it to look still like the same thing, and you want it to maybe, you know, if there's monsters in that room, maybe you can go back to that tile and heal up real quick. That way, you don't need another one or something, or rely on drops. Maybe it's, I don't know, somewhere you go in a room to heal up. Anywhere in that room, or that little room, you heal up your player infinitely, come back whenever you want. I'm just saying, it's something cool to do. And it's pretty generic, pretty simple script. So, I mean, you know, I even put a little line in here for play sound. Health pickup. Plays the sound effect of whatever your health pickup associated with this little file is. You can rename it something else. You go on, it goes, boo, something like that. Baruga. This video went a little long, but hey, there was a bonus part at the end with a free tile that restores your health. Enjoy. Thank you. and have a nice day.